Hi, this is a recap of round 10 of the candidates tournament. It's almost 4 in the morning. I've had a busy day today, but that's okay. I'm going to try to keep this one short because I really want to go to bed. Um, yeah, so Caruana with the victory over Anand. He now pulls even with Karyakin with 6 points for a lead in the tournament. Um, and yeah, that's pretty exciting for fans of American chess and people who don't want one guy to run away with the tournament. So, anyways, um, the matchups today were Aronian Topalov, Caruana Anand, as mentioned, Karyakin Giri, and Svidler Nakamura. Giri with his 10th straight draw, by the way. That's pretty exciting. Yeah, so let's go. So Aronian Topalov reached this position after move 30. And White's probably got some advantage here on account of, I mean, he's got nice control of the E file, and his major pieces are generally a bit more active than Black's major pieces. And here Aronian went Rook F8, which isn't a decision the computer is particularly happy about. One of the things it's suggesting is to play G4, with the idea that okay, first of all, if you put your queen on any square but that's not d7, then white plays bishop takes a5 and is winning. So like if you play queen g6, this rook on c8 is undefended, so bishop takes a5 is really strong. So instead queen d7 has to be played, and then white can play a quiet move like h3. And the idea is, in the game, white's rook was on f8, so black was able to play bishop c7 and exchange off the rooks. And then white really couldn't claim much of an advantage because most of his advantage was previously based on the fact that he had a better rook than black did. Here, if black tries the same thing, then he's running into rook, not there, rook e7, which is sort of a problem with f7 falling. But yeah, in the game, Aronian instead went rook f8, which is maybe slightly inaccurate on account of, yeah, now bishop c7 is possible. There's no rook e7 anything anywhere. So these guys got traded off. And white's advantage was very much less noticeable here and arguably non-existent. Um, and it was possible to just offer a trade of queens. And if the queens come off, this ending's totally drawn because there's really not much to be done for either side. So white went back with his queen, but by this point it was obvious that white had lost any remnants of his advantage. And yeah, the game was drawn. After some ado, but black didn't really have any troubles holding it. Anish Giri is frighteningly consistent. He drew again. This time he held with black against Karyakin. So yeah, this position came out of a semi-Slav. It looks like maybe white could have some slight pull on account of his bishop is better than black's bishop, and this pawn could become a target because it's backwards and on an open file. But in reality, these problems are going to disappear within a few moves because black is intending on breaking with c5 at the soonest possible moment. Um, and that basically solved his problems. So queen e7, uh, conveniently covering this bishop on b7, that's important. Rook e8, bishop f3, and now c5, and black had completely equalized. The point is that after bishop takes b7, queen takes b7, bc5, white's temporarily up a pawn, but he can't hold on to it. After rook e5, rook fc1, queen c6, black's attacking this guy 3 times, it's being defended twice. So black's going to pick up this pawn back with a bunch of exchanges. And we can see that black has liquidated his potential weakness on c6, and he's also gotten rid of his what looked to be like a really bad bishop when we first joined this game. And this is a rook ending where there's not a ton to play for either side, and this game was drawn 2 or 3 moves later. So yeah, not an especially eventful game, but interesting on account of looking at this position. At a glance, it looks as though white should have a clear advantage, but it's instructive to note how Giri so easily solves his problems with c5, and it's instructive to see that he wasn't afraid to play c5, even though it's a temporary pawn sacrifice, because he noticed that he can win it back quickly and didn't automatically rule it out because, oh, well, he's got more guys on this than I do. Because long term, he can't hold on to the pawn. Not even long term, but like short, long term. I'm going to stop talking now. So Spidler Nakamura saw Peter playing another English, and this game actually followed the Aronian game for about 9 moves before Nakamura deviated. This position was sort of an interesting one. Spidler took on c6, and then he played b4, which is interesting. The point, well, one of the points is that this pawn can't be taken. Well, he can take once. He can't take a second time because of queen d4, forking the bishop and mate, so that would win material. Nakamura elected not to take on b4, but instead to just play bishop b6. Another possibility would be to take, and then take here, and then if queen takes a1, it's possible to actually take on b4, allow the capture here, and then to take on e4. And this is not entirely clear, but black should be holding his own. And then if bishop takes a1, to play something like bishop a7, with similar play to what occurred in the game. Anyways, bishop b6 was played, and Spidler captured on d6. So he's temporarily up a pawn, because, well, Nakamura took on e4, and then Spidler took on c6. And now my computer is convinced that white is completely winning, because, well, there are 3 pieces attacked, and you can't save all of them at once, obviously. But Nakamura was unconcerned. He played rook a e8, and then after queen takes b6, he went rook h4, and now suddenly my computer realizes that this is a total draw. And this is really clever from Nakamura to get out of this potentially precarious situation. Of course, he had planned this when he played bishop b6, that he would have this defense, but it's still really clever nonetheless. So the point of rook h4 is to threaten mate on h2. So there's only one move: g takes h4, or else you get mated. And then there's the perpetual with queen g4, king h1, queen f3, king g1, queen g4, and so forth. So yeah, that was a fairly quick draw, but not one that lacked at least one kind of interesting moment, which would be this one, where it looked like Nakamura might be in a lot of trouble. And my computer very briefly thought that white should be winning, but there's the clever bailout trick with rook h4, which is actually not all that uncommon of a pattern in any event, and then the perpetual here. So the only decisive game of the day was Caruana Anand. Caruana now joins Karyakin with 6 points for the top spot in the tournament so far. This was actually the 3rd English of the day, which is kind of interesting to see. So here, Caruana's got a nice center, and he's got nice potential play on the f-file. And Anand played knight e7, which isn't the best move. And Caruana struck with bishop takes h6. Which is a nice move, because after g takes h6, queen h5, there's a lot of pressure around black's king. And it's already sort of a difficult situation. f7's being hit, obviously, and this is not... And you have to give up a piece to stem the tide of the attack. Like, for example, if you play rook f8, which did not occur, then queen takes h6, and the threats are mounting, and they're very difficult to stop. For example, there's this idea of playing knight g4 around to f6. For one thing, there's potential rook lift ideas. In general, it's very difficult to defend without having to give back some material. So instead, Anand elected to give back a piece right away with knight ef5, so kind of justifying Caruana's investment immediately. We could go into more detail about the other possibilities. You can analyze those on your own if you want. Again, like I said, I'm trying to keep the video today short because it is nearly 4 a.m. now. So takes, and f6. So Caruana just has a really nice position here. The knight on e5 is really strong. The pawn on f6 is potentially quite annoying. The bishop on g2 is really good. And yeah, black's still under quite a bit of pressure. Knight e4 was played to kind of probe this weakness. And Caruana went rook fe1. And now Anand should take on f6. And then after bishop takes b7, play something like rook a b8, bishop a6, and this c pawn is going to fall, and Caruana is going to be a pawn up. But this is probably better for Anand than what happened in the game. In the game, he took on c3, which is, I think, just a tactical mistake, because after rook c1, your knight doesn't have any good squares to go to. It went to b5 naturally, but the problem now is that after bishop takes b7, after rook a d8, there was bishop c6, now forking the knight and the rook, and so Anand took on d4 and gave up the exchange, and Caruana went on to win without too much difficulty, about 5 or 6 moves later. And it's also important to note that if rook a b8 happens, then after bishop c6, if this rook moves, then even just bishop takes b5, rook takes b5, knight c6, rook a8, followed by rook takes c4, is good enough for white, because he's a pawn up, and again, this pawn is really strong, this knight is really good, this rook can come into e7, f7's still a target, c7's a target, and white is just dominating the position. And again, Caruana won this game in 33 moves without really too much difficulty. Yeah, so that's going to be it for today. I'll see you tomorrow, or I guess later today, for round 11 recap. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe and whatever. And yeah,